Alright. So I don't know if making all the images the same size really improved things that much, because now it's just really kind of weird, but you know it from the picture what it is, at least. At least the units aren't getting cut off anymore. Anyway, though, yeah, we're doing the common drafts. If you weren't aware, the common drafts are only offered in the first 2 combat rewards. They're never offered again after that, outside of specific cavern event edge cases. And so we ranked them kind of against each other, because usually in the first 2 fights you're just only going to see common cards. So how do they kind of stack up against each other? So the first one up here is Faye's Blessing, and that's an easy S for me. Easy S. Definitely one of the best cards in the clan. The floor is not necessarily good, but the ceiling and the mid rolls of this card are very good. One of, if not the best defensive cards in the game. Obviously it does need some conduit. There are some other rare cases where you can make other things buff up the number pretty big. You know, there is like the event, the entropy event, where you can have it gain attack while being permafrosted permanently. Or not attack, but, you know, the spell, the health number there. Then you can get up pretty big that way. Or, you know, you can get maybe just a 15 spell power room. Or you could play a card such as Harness the Titan or Silver Ink several times, and then those are the edge cases for how you can buff it up. But in most cases you're just going to be using conduit. You're going to have a floor with a lot of conduit, and when you have a lot of conduit, it turns out you're going to get a lot of armor from this card, and it just single-handedly solves your defense pretty much entirely, especially if you can either hold it over or spell chain it. Becomes really good at that point. Obviously loves cost reductions as well. And, you know, you can throw a plus 10 on it as well, especially if you have, like, multiple copies of them. Plus 10 spell power. It's absolutely fine. And I don't know there's much else to say about it. I mean, it heals you, and then it gives you a ton of armor. It'll full heal you, and then, you know, maybe triple or quadruple your health on average, if not more. Can be targeted on any unit. Doesn't have to be the front unit. You can kind of just buff up your whole floor. You'll never lose Relentless. Obviously, it doesn't really help with wave clear, so, but, you know, that's not its purpose. It's what it does. It's one of the best cards in the game for sure. And then there's Starstruck, which is, I don't know, feels somewhat underwhelming to me, but it's definitely like a needed card on a lot of runs. It's of the cards that have the keyword dazed on them, it's probably the worst card in the game, but that still means it's pretty good because it has the keyword dazed on it. You know, the damage is pretty much nothing at 5, but you're mainly taking it for the dazed. Sometimes you use the damage. I mean, you might just kill a backliner with it. That's absolutely fine. It's nice that it does that. But, you know, I have to imagine you're mainly taking this card for the dazed, and most runs can relatively keep you in full moon when you need it, but, you know, especially if you're just, you know, 50% of the time you're exiled, it's really easy to take then. If you're not exiled, you kind of need a card like Meddler or something to really help you be in the moon phase that you want to be in. And on those runs, it's kind of where I feel the value of the card gets a bit shaky, because if I have no way to manipulate the moon, then 50% of the time I'm drawing this thing and it's just 5 damage for 1, and that's really bad. So, I don't know. It feels pretty much in the B or A for me. I'm going to put it in B for now. but maybe I'll shift it to A after all is said and done here. And then Bloody Moon, it does 25 damage, it costs 2, and you can gain 2 Ember back if you get a Slay with it. So if you just get some Ember upgrades on it, it can be an Ember positive card for you, similar to like, this is very similar to like a Mind Collapse. It's probably better than Mind Collapse, honestly. I guess the difference is Mind Collapse uses a plus 10 damage upgrade quite well, which is much less contested than an Ember upgrade. So it's like the Bloody Moon, I feel it's very hard for me to justify putting an Ember upgrade on it when most likely I have another card that wants that Ember upgrade more. So overall, even though Bloody Moon should be better than Mind Collapse, I feel it's actually maybe a little worse. The nice thing about the card, though, is it doesn't need any upgrades to do what it does, right? It's just a free removal, if anything, a free 25 damage as long as you're killing the unit. That's certainly never bad, but I don't know. On turns where there is no backliner, you know, they happen from time to time. There are some waves that are just only tanks. You know, in those cases, it's not too good. And I could take it a step further and say it's just not a great conduit card if you're not slaying, because it costs too much. And I don't know. It's like a single target just removal, even if it's efficient at it. I don't feel as that needed in the game. You know, I'd take it as a tech into like Seraph of Entropy maybe, just to have a nice answer to the Silence Enchanters, but aside from that, there's not a whole lot of like just single target squishy backliners that I'm so desperate to kill that I really am reaching for a Bloody Moon, right? Like, I'm not sad to have a Bloody Moon, but it's also just like not that good. Doesn't solve any big problems, and it's not like doing any crazy things usually. It can be really good with Volatile Gauge. It can be really good with certain artifacts that can make it free to play without having to spend upgrades on it, because then you're just gaining Ember with it. That's probably the best situation for it. But, you know, I don't know. It's not in a clan that has Ember Drain, right? If this clan had Ember Drain, then this would be a better card. Then I'd be like, okay, now I have big reasons to try to zero cost it. Now I have a way out of Ember Drain, but this is just not a clan that has that. And honestly, it has so much single target backline removal. I mean, it's like you got Witch Weave, you got Starstruck, and then you have AoE cards like Celestial Storm. I mean, typically I would say you much would rather have AoE than the single target backline removal. So I don't know. I'm probably not as high on it as most with both of these cards, really. I tend to see these cards ranked relatively high, just generally getting a feel for how people feel about them. They always kind of talk them up, and maybe they're right, but for me, just personally, they haven't performed consistently well. Like, certainly you've seen Starstruck carry some runs for me, but those are when everything's working for it. You know, I have plenty of runs too where I take it and it really doesn't do anything, and same with Bloody Moon. So there's enough of those type of runs that I feel like I can't go higher than B with them. But B feels kind of accurate. And the next card, Celestial Storm. This is a card that has continued to go down in rankings for me. There was a time I was like, okay, this is one of the better cards for the clan, because just AoE attuned, it's really good. I mean, that just destroys everything. But I don't know. It's so costly. And early on, maybe it's just hard to play. It's a card that would be better as an uncommon or a rare, I think. Because when you take it early, it's off, especially with Luna, who has Ekka as one of their heroes, and their banner units outside of Shadeguard don't really have much health. I guess there's the other tank as well, but the rest are like pretty squishy, so like it's very hard to hit a Ring 2 Merchant of Magic. So Celestial Storm, it's a lot to ask to have a 3-cost spell like that doesn't even necessarily do much because you probably don't have that much conduit that early, if any at all, and it has to also be on full moon to gain the attuned thing. So like, there's actually quite a lot going against it. It just costs too much. It doesn't do enough initially, and it's at a point in the game with a clan in the game that has a very tough time getting an early Ember upgrade for the card. So it just ends up often being a deadweight because I can't really find a turn to play it on 3, and sometimes even if I do, I'm not in the right moon phase. So it's a very swingy card. Certainly there are some runs where you can like get it to cost 2 and hold it over or something, or it's okay with like permafrost as well, if you just need it around for a big wave clear turn. But I don't know, it's just very hard to play. Also, it likes to just get down to a 1 cost as well, but you know, it's all these things are investment, and I don't know. So Starstruck and Bloody Moon are like B tier just because their floor is okay. Maybe Starstruck's floor isn't as good, but generally I feel like they're just, the ceiling is not huge enough for them to go above B. Whereas the ceiling on Celestial Storm is huge. It's like S tier ceiling, but the floor is like D. It's just an absolute dead weight. One that can't even easily be like Surge Stoned or anything either. I guess you could -2 Ember is decent, but -2 Ember and Consume is pretty good. But I don't know. I might be giving Celestial Storm a harder time than I need to, but it just has not performed for me in quite some time. So for right now, we're on the outs. So I'm gonna leave it in B, but maybe it's higher. I don't know. Now, conversely, Gravity is a card that just continues to impress me the more and more I use it. It's like, I can't remember the last time I took a Gravity and regretted it. It's such a versatile card. It also doesn't rely as much, even though it does obviously have some moon phase component to it. It just changes the direction that it goes, and you can play around that actually quite well. Even if you don't have any moon manipulation at all, you always know what you're going to start with, or maybe what your turn 2 is going to be. So it's like you can set up accordingly to that if your goal with Gravity is to overstack a floor. And honestly, I find Gravity most useful for that. Even though you're hurting your unit, and often you have conduit on the floor, you just need to add some health to that unit at some point, and then you can start overstacking. Like Moon Pixie, for example, I've very frequently used Gravity to get them onto the right floor, even though it is adding conduit. You can survive the hit as long as you add like 20 health. And then, you know, it is 5 damage, similar to Starstruck. If you do need it for singles target removal, it can be used for that. But then on top of that, you know, I use it actually a pretty decent amount for manipulating the enemy position. Descend or Ascend can both be very good in that scenario. Descend is more for like stalling them out. Ascend would be for maybe picking up you know, a unit from below that is in like a heavy, very wide enemy wave, and just thinning it out a bit and just distributing it a bit more to like the wave ahead of it, which often actually is a pretty good play. And I mean, that's it. That's what Gravity is. It's just a very versatile card that can be a little tricky to use and a little awkward to use, but I lean toward A at the moment. I'll be honest though, I wouldn't be surprised if it's S. But it certainly is harder for me to take than like a Phase Blessing or something like that, generally speaking, even if I am thinking about like overstacking a floor. Sorry, 1 second here. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I think A, maybe S, but we'll go A for now. And then here's a card that I know I'm lower than most on, which is Silver Strike. I think this card's kind of bad. It needs Full Moon to basically be a Helical Crystallis. So if I go to Stygian, it's basically this one. It does 35 twice, but it costs 2 Ember. But it obviously doesn't rely on any specific moon phase or anything like that, since it's in Stygian. So what I would say is I'm already coming from the viewpoint that I don't think Crystallis is a very good card. So if that's not a good card, then I definitely don't think this is a good card, which I think is a worse card. Obviously, if I am in Full Moon, it costs half the cost, but it still does less damage, and I don't know. It kind of needs a tune to even be relevant in the mid to late game, in my opinion. Like, you can stack a lot of conduit and it's still not that relevant. At the end of the day, it's just maybe it helps the tank a little bit, but I pretty much need to find Silver Ink for it to do anything, and that just doesn't feel very good. Of these removal cards, I definitely think it's the worst. So, I don't know, if you're real desperate for some some early tank killing, which maybe this clan can be sometimes, it's the only real reason to take it. I kind of lean toward D or C. Very low C if it is in C. We'll come back to it at the end. I wouldn't be surprised if I drop it to D. Then we got Meddler. Meddler, which is just a 6/3 unit, basically no stats, and 1 pip, 1 Ember. When it summons, it phases, and the ability is a 2 cooldown additional phase, Manipulate. So, very specific in what it does. I usually hate to start with this card in a lot of cases, if I'm with Ekka. Or with anyone, really. It's just like, it's kind of a dead weight in Ring 1 most of the time, because if I'm getting Meddler, then that means I don't have another spell that could benefit from moon phasing, because I didn't get a spell, right? So Meddler is actually even worse with Moon Ritual in Ring 1, because it's like you probably don't have any spell damage. So the Moon Ritual becomes useless, and then other than just if you have Arduin, I guess it gives you a little bit of extra damage, and then the Meddler just doesn't do anything in Ring 1. So we're not ranking on that, but I feel like I need to shit on the card a little bit for how bad it is as a starter card. But as a just utility pickup, it's kind of hard to rank it, because I feel like it's not really a card you speculatively will take. At least I wouldn't. You take it if you know you need it, and if you know you need it, it's gonna be good. If I've already taken, if I'm Moon Cycle Ekka, or if I've taken like a Shade Guard or something, then obviously I will want a Meddler, especially if I'm Witch Weave, right? Especially if I don't have the Moon Ritual to help me. So it's very good in those situations, and it's useless otherwise. So it's a tough one to rank. That feels like in the B tier to me. Very middle of the road, but not... It's either going to be in the A or S, or in the D. So it just averages out to the B. And then the final one we got here is the Moon Pixie, which is definitely a good card when it works. I just don't know how often I actually make it work, because it is hard to get it onto a big floor. There's 2 ways in the clan to do it, though. There's Gravity, and then there's also what's it called? Hexalation. So it's not out of the question. Maybe the other clan can help too, or in some cases you can just take a pip upgrade. I really like to avoid taking a pip upgrade if I can, though. Or I guess in also some cases you can just put it on the floor, and without a pip grade and without overstacking, it can still just be enough conduit that it's helpful. Now, both Meddler and Moon Pixie do have the problem that they're units that are not deployable. I really wish there was a easier way to make units deployable, but that would definitely throw off the balance, and it's probably just a whole can of worms, but it would be nice. But, you know, all that being said, it's like you always run into the issue of, like, you could bottom deck these cards and there's not much you could do about it. And that's what makes them... It makes me hesitant to want to take them. I feel like I only take them when I absolutely need them, which doesn't make them super enticing in my eyes. Like for me, I'm like, if I see a Phase Blessing and I don't have any Conduit, I'll still probably take it and just hope to find Conduit later. So it's like, if I find a Phase, because that Phase Blessing sort of just is that desirable, it is that good. Whereas these units, I don't feel are that way. They don't really benefit super. I mean, a Moon Pixie can be a good dualism user, and all of them want health, but they don't really benefit that much with, like, upgrades, whereas, like, the spells do. Spells can be intrinsic, etc., etc. It's like, yeah, I just feel like I'm only taking Meddler and Pixie when I absolutely have to. I'm not taking them because I'm like, ooh, good card, I'll just take it and see what happens. I'm very rarely doing that with these cards. But between the two, Pixie would be more likely for me to take in a scenario like that still. And at least they're not a horrible cost or anything. At 1 pip and 1 ember, if they don't work out, they're easy to just play out and not have to be like a high priority removal target. So they are nice for that. And Moon Pixie definitely, I think, just is more takeable than Meddler, so it sure feels wrong to put it in A, though. Yeah, it does feel wrong. Either Gravity needs to go up, or this needs to go down, and Meddler needs to go down. Honestly, that feels more accurate to me with how I feel about Luna Coven. I could probably move these, though. Yeah, maybe that's probably more accurate. I could say that's probably more accurate. Honestly, that's probably more accurate. This looks more how I feel about Luna Coven. It's like, you got one common that really stands out, which is Phase Blessing, and then you got a bunch of either just mediocre stuff or very situational stuff. I don't typically think the Luna commons feel great for me to draft. But it's just a weird clan. Everything is a combo piece in this clan, so it's like I have to rank everything. It's harder to rank because I'm like ranking in my head how often I think when I speculate on a card, is it hitting what it hitting what it speculates on. But then also, if I don't hit it, does the card still provide value, right? Some of these do, some of these don't. Like Meddler, for example, doesn't really provide any value if I speculate on it and then I don't hit on what I'm speculating on. Whereas Moon Pixie, Moon Pixie or even a Bloody Moon, it's like they'll probably still give me value even when I don't hit like the desired combo piece with them. But yeah, this feels accurate to me. I'm very, very torn on how I feel about Luna. They are a very swingy clan, I think. I think some of the most cursed runs I've had involve Luna often, ignoring the Monster Train 1 clans, of course, because, Luna is still better than pretty much all of the Monster Train 1 clans, I would say. But of the Monster Train 2 clans, it could potentially be the worst clan. I guess we'll see, because certainly the commons and the banners haven't ranked well, and that feels accurate to how I kind of feel about them. Their rares will rank decently, though. I know that for sure, and I think the uncommons will do well. I know the rares are enticing for them. The uncommons, we'll see about the uncommons. I think they're decent, but there's definitely some mediocre stuff in there. But yeah, that's about it. As always, thanks for watching, and until next time, peace.